Thank you everyone for taking a moment to tune into my presentation titled Physical Activity, Chronic Pain, and Subjective Well-Being Among Individuals with a Spinal Cord Injury, a Systematic Scoping Review. Before I continue, I would like to acknowledge my collaborators, Lawrason, Robert Shaw, and Drs. Derrick, Wirtz, and Kathleen Ginis for their assistance in completing the scoping review. Approximately 70% of persons with a spinal cord injury experience chronic pain, and many of these individuals report their pain to be the most debilitating consequence of their spinal cord injury. Further, subjective well-being is a comprehensive construct that is made up of positive and negative affect, satisfaction with life, as well as satisfaction with various life domains. For people with spinal cord injury, subjective well-being is often reported to be poorer compared to able-bodied individuals, and pain has also been shown to be directly related to the affective component of well-being. Interestingly, leisure time physical activity, or physical activity for the purposes of this presentation, has been shown to reduce pain and improve subjective well-being among people with a spinal cord injury. However, the characteristics of physical activity, such as frequency, intensity, time, or type, that are required to elicit these positive changes are not yet known. Ultimately, this scoping review aimed to evaluate what is known from existing literature regarding the effects of physical activity on both chronic pain and subjective well-being among individuals with a spinal cord injury. For this scoping review, we followed Arksey and O'Malley's 5-stage scoping review framework, which include identifying the research question and relevant studies by using database subject headings that were relevant to pain, exercise, and well-being. Next, the first and second authors independently reviewed titles and abstracts for early removal, followed by screening full-text articles to determine if they are eligible for inclusion. The fourth step included charting data such as injury characteristics, such as time since injury or level of SCI, characteristics of physical activity, and pain and subjective well-being information, such as type or construct, measurement tool, and key outcomes. Finally, we synthesized all of our data using a narrative synthesis, and we identified gaps in existing literature. Ultimately, after our initial database search, we began with close to 4,000 articles. However, by the time we deduplicated and went through all of our inclusion and exclusion criteria matching, our ultimate scoping review ended up with 15 articles. Our scoping review actually included an equal amount of experimental and quasi-experimental studies, with the majority being published between 2011 and 2018. Further, more than 3/4 of our participants included within these articles were paraplegics. After observing the results of the included studies, our team identified 4 distinct patterns relative to the impact of physical activity on pain and well-being among people with spinal cord injury. Importantly, the most consistently identified pattern was decreased pain and improved well-being, which was reported by 12 different articles in this scoping review. Ultimately, what we identified as gaps in literature and the recommendations that we are providing moving forward is that we need more research adhering to the International SCI exercise guidelines in order to understand and identify specific characteristics of physical activity that lead to changes in pain and well-being. Next, many articles actually did not classify pain according to rigorously designed SCI classification tools. Therefore, we recommend that future research should categorize pain according to this international tool in order to identify physical activity protocols that impact each specific tier of pain. And last, research should use SCI-specific well-being measures in order to ensure that questions are relevant and applicable to the people that are actually using them, which in this case are people with spinal cord injury. Thank you very much for your time.